Alright boys, straight from the gym into your preferred device. And you guys have probably guessed it, we are playing as the Crusader, and I'm going to show y'all how to use the Roland set and also the Shield Bash build. Pretty awesome build, definitely not one of the stronger ones in the game. It definitely needs a buff. Holy shit, this needs a buff. Roland's doesn't do enough damage, boys, no way, but it is fun, it is challenging, and one of the challenges you'll come across is your Wrath management. Wrath definitely needs to be managed for this, but I don't think you'll have a problem, boys. As you can see, just doing a quick example, showing you how it's done. Even when I run out of Wrath, I get a lot back. And there's ways around it. We'll counteract it. I'm going to go into that in a second. I just like going into the Fields of Misery here because there's a lot of congestion, a lot of mobs, a lot of density, and I can show you guys exactly how the build operates. And what you can expect there. Got some elites here. Let's go to town and we'll get into detail. We're in town, magically appeared in town, and I'm going to start talking about the skills here that are required. We're using Provoke with Hit Me. Basically just to provoke the enemies, and also when you taunt these enemies you'll instantly regenerate Wrath, and like I said, Wrath generation is absolutely critical for this build. Otherwise, if you run out of Wrath you ain't doing no damage, and Shield Bash takes up a lot of Wrath. Heaps and heaps of Wrath. This also increases our block chance, so it's a lot of great survivability when we get into elite pack fights or even killing bosses, shit like that. Shield Bash obviously we're using with Pound for max damage, max fire damage. Shield Glare with Zealous Glare. Now basically this lets us gain Wrath as well, but because of some items that we're using, this also does a bit of damage, boys. Does a shitload of damage, and I'll get into that in a second. You'll see when we get to gear anyway. Steed Charge with Endurance just for a bit of mobility, moving around quick and stuff. Laws of Valor with Unstoppable Force is so important. We must make sure this is up at all times. Basically it decreases the Wrath cost of anything that we use, and as we're shield bashing non-stop, I'm pretty much holding down the right mouse button as I'm shield bashing, and we don't want to run out of Wrath, and this definitely helps. Must be activated at all times. Akarat's Champion with Prophet just for that extra damage and survivability bonus if we get into a sticky situation. With passive skills we're using Heavenly Strength, Hold Your Ground, Finery, and Towering Shield definitely. Now let's get into some gear. We're using the Roland's full set here. We've got the helm, the chest, the shoulders, the gloves, the pants, and the boots. Alright, so full Roland's set equipped here. We're not using Ring of Royal Grandeur with this one. No way, boys. No way. Make sure you increase shield bash damage wherever possible. I've got it on my helm there, as you can see. And the boots, make sure you go for 15% as well for max damage, obviously. Providing that you have your materials in order for you to enchant them. You definitely want cooldown reduction over here and critical hit chance on your gloves, though. Just make sure you get that shield bash damage on those two items there. We're using Traveler's Pledge together with the Compass Rose, and this is pretty important for every build almost. I don't think there's anything better at the moment than this combination of the Traveler's Pledge and the ring here. In case you didn't know, the 2 set piece bonus is, number 1, while moving, damage taken is reduced by up to 50%. Number 2, while standing still, damage dealt is increased by up to 100%. Very handy. As a Crusader, we're not really standing still too often because we're going to be shield bashing, but we definitely want to reduce some damage taken. This can be a squishy build if you ain't prepared. Speaking of preparation, we definitely want Dracon's Lesson here. Basically what you get as the legendary stat is when your shield bash hits 3 or fewer enemies, its damage is increased by 163%, and 25% of its Wrath cost is refunded. So the less enemies there are, the more Wrath that we're going to have. The other ring that we're using is the Justice Lantern, basically because we gain damage reduction equal to 54% of our block chance, and with Provoke, we get more block as well, so it goes hand in hand with Justice Lantern, and we should decrease damage nicely using that combination. Witching Hour, definitely for max damage. You want to get as much critical hit damage as possible on this one, and definitely strength, attack speed, all the good stats, you guys know them. Now, down to the important stuff. Definitely want these two items. I'm telling you right now, you want these two items. Number one, the weapon is Flail of the Ascendant. This is a two-handed flail, and basically, because of our passives, we can equip it in one hand, so pretty awesome, excellent damage. But what's even more important about this is if you look at the special stat there, is your shield glare deals damage equal to up to your last 5 shield bash casts. So after we shield bash 5 times, we hit shield glare and he stomps, and that does AoE damage and just kills shit everywhere. Very, very handy, and you definitely want this. If you don't want to equip it, if you want to equip like a two-handed furnace or something, you can, it's optional, but I think this is the best way to do it. Get a two-handed one and equip it, because I wouldn't change what I got in Canon's Cube either. We're going to get to that next. The other very important item that I wouldn't swap out for anything is the Pyro Morella Shield. Now, basically what this does is it reduces the Wrath cost of Shield Bash by 44%, and because we're using so much Wrath, I mean, check that out, that's Shield Bashing right there. Your Wrath just goes, and it's very, it can be difficult to manage. I think the Pyro Morella makes it a hell of a lot easier. Hell of a lot easier, boys. And that's pretty much the best combination of items I was able to come up with. Like I said, this Roland set and this build needs a buff. It doesn't do enough damage. It's fun, but you ain't going to do like some sort of record-breaking greater rifts with this, that's for sure. So don't think that you are. It's still a fun build to play, and you should probably still experiment so you can do your set dungeons and stuff like that. It's a bit of fun, boys, a bit of fun. Let's get into Canon's Cube. Now, very importantly in Canon's Cube as well, everything's so important, I tell you. In the weapon, the Final Witness, basically what happens is shield glare now hits all enemies around you. So when we shield glare, like I mentioned, it does damage now because of the flail that we have equipped. But now, with the Final Witness, it hits all the enemies around you. So you must have the Final Witness no matter what. It's probably more important than Pyro Morella. If you find that you're not running out of Wrath and you're comfortable with your Wrath, then you can probably swap out Pyro Morella and you can put something else in there, maybe a Furnace or something like that in the weapon slot here and equip the Final Witness. Up to you. I just think this is the best way to go because Wrath is just absolutely critical, and even with this setup, sometimes I find that I'm almost running out of Wrath. So, but make sure boys, whatever you do, have the Final Witness. It's very, very important, and it also makes your Wrath generation that much easier. Down to armor, we've got Cindercoat, basically reduces the resource cost of fire skills by 30%. And this helps out with your shield bash. Now, I think I mentioned I was using Pound. I stuffed up, guys. You should be using Crumble. Crumble as your rune, not Pound. I don't know. I think I was experimenting with Pound and doing some other shit. But you want to be using Crumble. So make sure you go back, check that out. I'm not using Pound, I'm using Crumble. Alright, make sure you're using Crumble. I'll just bring it up here. So Shield Bash, Crumble, not Pound. Alright, sorry for the mistake there, boys. Sorry about that. And finally, in jewelry, we're using Convention of Elements. When it cycles through all the damage elements over here, as you can see, when it hits that fire damage, oh my god, you'll be doing a shitload of damage, guys, believe me. There's probably nothing else that I'd use, see right there, fire damage, other than Convention of Elements. There's nothing really that handy, providing that you have Justice Lantern equipped there. So that's pretty much it. I believe I've gone through everything. We'll quickly go through Paragon Points as well. Now, you want to be at maximum movement speed. You want to have your movement speed capped. So right now, I've got 14%, plus what I've got in my items equipped. It equals to 25%, which is the cap. Everything else into strength. Offense, we want critical hit damage, critical hit chance, cooldown reduction, and attack speed in that order. Defense, we want resist all, armor, life, and life regeneration in that order. Utility, we want resource cost reduction, definitely, life per hit, area damage, and then gold find in that order. And that's pretty much it, guys. Go and start shield bashing shit. Tell me what you think of this build, and make sure you come back. I'll be doing the set dungeon in the near future, and I'll tell you all the best way to complete that. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like my videos, show your support, and don't be afraid to leave a comment. Till next time, Panic13, out.